What's up, my brother?
Good morning, brother.
You're sideways.
Yeah, okay, damn. My wife's telling me I'm supposed to be, but apparently not.
Beautiful. There you go.
Bring that back down.
Hello.
So, good morning, man. Oh, here goes the dog parade.
How you doing, Eileen?
Hi, good.
Yeah, shut up. All right. Yeah, I don't think you guys have actually met. Robert, Eileen.
Not formally. How you doing, Eileen?
With Robert.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So tell us who you are, where you're from.
Okay, we are a combination of Studio E&R and the Wooden Palette. We are from Los Angeles. We live near Venice. Originally, I'm from Iowa, born and raised in the Midwest.
And originally, I'm from Seattle, born and raised there. I've been here since '99, and you've been here since?
Yeah, like 94 or so.
So we feel like LA is our home now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think this is going to be cool. So we're going to go through a series of questions, and both of you can answer differently, please.
Okay.
I don't think that'll be hard.
Yeah, that won't be a big surprise.
What word or phrase do you overuse?
The problem is...
Yeah, for me, it's don't get mad, but.
All right. What is your least favorite thing to do?
What's my least favorite thing to do?
For me, I'll jump in on that. That's billing and paperwork.
Yeah, and I would say collecting money.
Yeah.
Getting after people for money.
Yeah, I mean, we love to get it, but sometimes it's a little difficult to say, hey, you should pay now.
Yeah.
Right. Glad you love your table. How about paying for it?
Right. Most of them get it, but there's a few that don't. Like, hey, guys, we're, struggling artists here, too.
Right. What is your most favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing is the finish on a piece.
Okay, hold 1 second. These are life questions.
Yeah, but that's kind of life, man. I mean, I was about to say sanding, man. But,
okay, my favorite thing to do is to cook dinner at the end of the day with some music on. It's my decompressor, and it's so enjoyable, especially in this amazing kitchen that Ryan built.
Yeah, and for me, I would say it's plants. It's like the trees on the property, everything from all the little potted ones through the giants, to go out and check on them and just kind of look at them and sit and realize how long it took to get them to grow to where they are now.
All right, cool. What is the one thing your spouse would change about you?
Uh-oh. You're only doing this because it's two of us on here, see?
No, these questions go to everybody. Usually just one guy by himself saying,
"Oh." Right. I'm teasing. All right.
He would have me stop interrupting him. It drives him batshit. But I'm like, but I'll forget to tell you that if I don't interrupt you right now.
Right, get it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she would, I think, have me just be more organized and neat, putting stuff away.
Okay. What makes you tick? Motivated?
God, all of it, the day-to-day, just jumping out of bed, being so excited about every single day and new jobs and our clients and how happy they are and the cool trees we get to work with and the really great clients. I mean, we're complaining about collecting money, but most of them are pretty amazing. I mean, we're lucky to have created this, this life that we have here. So, I mean, I'd say all of that, it really makes me tick. And our puppies, they give us life. They make us laugh. And
how many do you have?
5. Big
Five.
cat. Yeah.
What kind?
They're all well. One, the oldest one, we just did his DNA, and he's a Lhasa Doodle, like 50% Lhasa, 50 poodle. He's 16, maybe 17 or 18. Actually, we're not sure. They're all rescues, and all of them have found us, except this is the old man.
Yeah, he is easily going on 17. And still, like, the others are all giants, and he will stand up and Chewbacca them to the ground, just like.
Yeah, he's the boss.
Yeah.
The next one is, she's a German Shepherd, Pit, Chow, Shar-Pei, Collie boxer.
Yeah.
And she's a queen. She's amazing. And then we have a husky, and then 2 brothers and sisters that are we call the twins, and they're like Shar-Pei, Chow, Pit, Shepherd as well. And they all found us. They all found us, except Harper, who the big one. One of them we got at the pound.
Yeah, our shop is, kind of in the hood a little bit, and it's a lot of strays down there, man. And so from the purebred husky limping in there, having been hit by a car one day, through the little twins, like running by, and I went, was that 2 cute little puppies just went running down Normandy? And they all, we've grabbed up a lot of stray dogs in our, vicinity where the shop is. Most of them we end up, finding a home for, helping support a rescue to find a home for them, whatever. But, a few never left.
Yeah,
Very
and
nice.
they go everywhere with us. So they come to the shop every day, hang out.
Yeah,
they have a good life.
They do. All 5 go to work with us every day.
Cool. What irks you the most?
Irks?
Yes.
What irks me the most?
Yeah, that's
There's so many things.
yeah. When you're an OCD-ish business owner, there's a lot of those things, man. I mean, from repetitiveness, we feel like mom and dad to 15 guys basically, and you try to give good direction. You try to be on the same page, and when like this morning, right before we're supposed to come on with you, one of the guys calls and says, "Oh, I can't find this, that, and the other thing." And I'm like, okay, but in my text at the end of the day yesterday, I specifically said, don't take this, that, and the other thing. Only take this. Yeah, but they were here. Okay, why are we talking? Like, that kind of stuff gets frustrating. And you have to be patient. If you start somebody's day off hollering at them, then you get bad work. So you have to try to figure out a way to continually reassure and communicate to your guys, what your expectations are, and then, praise the good work that they did instead of bite at the bad stuff.
Got it. What sound makes you happiest?
For me now, it's gotten a lot quieter here. So in the morning, I have my coffee out by our koi pond. So it's the sound of the water and the birds, because there's so many birds now, and it's so peaceful.
And that is true. We live on a fairly busy street, and we have created layers between the street and the front deck to try to both visually and audibly obscure out that. And we've gotten, a bit spoiled in the pandemic because the traffic is suddenly not there. And so suddenly you walk out there and you do hear the water and the birds, and you hear all these things that we didn't normally hear. So at the moment, I think we're trying to soak that up. I sit out there in the evening, and she sits out there first thing in the morning. But look, the flip side of that is I love the sound of a saw and a sanding machine. I mean, I love those sounds when I immediately can picture what they're accomplishing.
Eileen?
The birds, the water. I love the sound of a saw too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
What sound bothers you the most?
I mean, I used to say the garbage truck's on Friday morning, but that's not as bad. That's like an annoying sound.
Yeah. No, as funny as it is, as much as I am.
Fireworks.
Well, fireworks, no doubt, man. This has been horrendous this year. Even last night, still 1:30 in the morning, bombs, 2 or 3 of them. And, you know, a couple of our dogs are just terrified of them. They immediately are shaken. But what I was going to say, funny enough, is dogs barking. That'll drive me batshit. We have a couple of neighbors, and we have 5, and they don't, you know, they'll bark at something specific for a minute or less. You know, somebody walks by with a dog that jaws at them, they jaw back, it's over. We have a couple of neighbors with dogs that just go all day.
All day. I'm like, aren't their throats sore from all that? Yeah.
Other than your own, what profession would you like to try?
It's funny because she's gotten to be able to be kind of a couple of the things that I would imagine. I mean, I've been in woodworking for almost 20 years now. She's been in it for almost 10 now. But before that, I mean, and currently still, she falls back into being a chef. And I would say that, even though, funny enough, our business is so ancillary to restaurants and chefs because they're our clients a lot, the glamour of the rock star chef, when you know them all, not all, but when you know a bunch of them personally and you see how hard they struggle, and that's before the pandemic, how hard they, you know, tell you, shit, man, likely my business is going to fail, even though I'm putting millions into it. They, you know, it's a tough business. But restaurateur, chef, if you didn't actually have to make money doing it, I'd like to try that.
Yeah. But, but I would say I'd love to be a shark.
Oh,
bringing like women-owned businesses and more artists and creatives, and you know,
no doubt
people
there.
like Regina, just to get them going and prop them up and help them with all of the little things that they, you know, don't even know that they need to know.
Right.
I love that.
Great answer. Yeah.
What would you want on your tombstone?
My tombstone. Jeez, I'm not gonna have a tombstone. I want to be like sprinkled out in the water.
That's a popular answer.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if I had a tombstone, maybe small play on words, but just put "he made it."
Right. What is it about your personality that drives your business?
I mean, he's like such a go-getter and can talk to anyone all day long. And I mean, that's I think quite a trait for the woodworker that comes in and can run the table of all kinds of people. I mean, he really can talk to and gets along with anyone on the job, anyone in the room. That's what he's good at. Besides a bunch of, making amazing creations as well. He's kind of can do it all.
Well, but that's both ways. I mean, when Eileen and I first met and I met her friends, like every one of them just feels like they have like the best life coach cheerleader on their side because they have her as a friend. And that rubs off, man. I mean, she literally looks at everything and just says, you can do it. We can do it. You can do it. Here's how. What do you need to help? How are you feeling? If you're not feeling all the way up, let me prop you up. And that makes a big difference. I mean, look, being in business together is super challenging. So you try to be smart about it and work with each other's strengths and all of that. Doesn't always work that way. You butt heads sometimes. You're both strong points trying to work at the same time. But communicating with the customer, I think, is something, it's like public speaking. So many people are terrified of that. There's a lot of guys like, this, man, there are some phenomenal makers and woodworkers and artists out there that don't get their stuff out there because they're terrified of talking to people. They want to sit in the garage in the corner by themselves making some crazy, beautiful thing. It never gets seen. I mean, we're both good at going out and blowing people up and going, look what I can do, and if you need this, we'll bust our ass for you.
Yeah, that's a part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Is you have to sell yourself.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about your personality that hinders your business?
I think for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, we can't do that. Like we have way too much right now. Like there's too much on our plate. Like we have to say no to this. And I mean that in a way, like sometimes that helps because you do have to say no sometimes, but I think it can hinder you too. You know, it works both ways.
Yeah. But on the other side of that exact same coin is that she's not wrong on that. And for me, it's certainly saying yes too many times. You know, it's saying yes to everybody and then trying to figure out how to get everybody happy.
I have that yes too much.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that I need to say no to that I don't.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it, I'm like, I didn't need this.
Yeah. But you want to make everyone happy, you know?
Yeah.
So it's painful to say no, honestly.
Yeah, I fought with that a lot. And there's sometimes where I had a feeling about someone, and I did say no because I wanted to help.
Right.
And the client wind up screwing me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something we learn as we go through this year after year. You get that feeling that about someone in the beginning, and that's where we'll get into a fight. Like, I don't like this, or he's like, I'm not happy with, and it's, can be a fight with us, but then we'll come to realize, yeah, that customer, I mean, the client will be like horrible to work with. And we're like, okay, we learned our lesson from that. But that's just something you learn as you go. You can't really know that in the beginning, but to learn to kind of read the client in the beginning.
Who would you travel cross country on a motorcycle with?
Who would you travel cross country on a motorcycle with?
Yeah.
Yes.
Her.
Cool. What was your favorite concert?
Prince and Tracy Chapman. I mean,
both very good.
Oh my God. Amazing. Both very different, but
very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be embarrassed to say because I don't go to. I have a little angst over like giant crowds like that. It's been since I was a kid. So like Elton John, Billy Joel. Hey, it was a great concert. So was The Boss and a couple of others. But these are like '80s concerts. Are the last things that I like look back to and loved.
All right, that's cool. I've seen Elton John. Want to see Billy Joel, and would love to see The Boss.
Great concerts.
When was the last time you cried?
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
About?
We lost a few of our koi, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, one of them especially. I mean, all of them actually, but
it sounds crazy, but we've spent years in development, and then months trying to balance the aquatics, the science of a koi pond. We have a 6,000 gallon koi pond. We brought in these fish that were rescues from a guy who passed away. So they were big koi that had been hand fed. Like you go out there and tap the water and they'd line up for dinner and weigh each one out of your hand. And a couple of them would literally slide up into your hand and let you give them little belly rubs. And then the pond chemistry spiked the wrong way, and like 4 of the big ones died. And that was really hard to find them out there, man. We felt like we failed them. When you don't have kids and you anthropomorphize all of your animals, it was just like, we unfortunately hyper-focus where we can throw our appreciation and love on a personal level outside of work, because again, working together and having 3 different distinct arms to the business. Yeah. So the koi, I mean, she literally show them your arm.
I got it.
Can't really see it there, but
maybe upside down.
Yeah, there it is.
This is one specific. This guy, his name was Jeff. He was more like
like a little puppy. We called him slippery puppies.
He was like a dog. He would come up and he didn't even want food. He just wanted to sit in our hand or like just hang out. And he was the coolest. Ryan would be walking around doing stuff in the pond, and he'd come up and like bump his leg and be like, hi. It was just, we were blown away by how like social this fish was.
Yeah, it was not prepared for that.
And we lost him thinking we were going to have him for like 50 years, you know.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
What impact do you want to leave on the industry?
I think for me, I'd like to show that, you know, you can run a successful small woodworking business in LA and, you know, be happy doing it. Like it's a grind. It's hard, especially here where it's so expensive. But to show that, you know, we're doing that and want to continue to do that.
Yeah. And for me, I would say elevate. I mean, everything that we do, you know, to be honest, normally if we're called in on something, it's because it's higher end than what anybody else wants to figure out, whether it's a cutting board for Thomas Keller or whether it's a wood floor for, you know, blankety blank signed under an NDA, you know, whichever it is, they come at you with, well, we're imagining this and other people are going, can't be done. We want to find a way to do that and encourage other people to do that. There is plenty of room in the pie for everybody to make beautiful pieces and sell them in galleries. Well, you know, when we first started, right away, people are going, you should be in, you know, Crate and Barrel and Williams and Sonoma. And we're like, fuck that. Sorry, we want to be above that. It's a lot easier to reach back down to that. But let's start with trying to get into art galleries. Let's start with trying to be in a museum. Let's start with, you know, trying to put something in front of some of the most famous chefs in America and have them say, holy shit, who made that? And we did it. You know, we did it fast. And so, you know, then it was a lot easier to roll along. And yet then it's also like, wait, how do you top that? How do you top this? How do you top that? And it's so funny to me out of left field where she'll make a paper towel holder 6 years after we're doing this stuff, and it suddenly sells like better than any other thing for a few months because it's brand new on the market, and it's $500 for this paper towel holder. But if you saw the amount of lathe work, the amount of brass inlay, the amount of polishing, the amount of work that goes into it, we're not making a ton of money at $500, you know, but we're making enough to keep rolling.
Yeah, and you have beautiful stuff, and it looks labor intensive.
Oh, yeah, it is.
What was the most difficult time for your business, and how did you overcome it?
Well, you know, reestablishing a little bit, my side of the business is whole home woodworking. You know, we would do floors, staircases, walls, ceilings, mainly as our focus. All only in solid wood, finished on site kind of stuff. So when the economy tanked in 2008, still our clients are mostly the top 1%. So they didn't really affect me for the first minute or two. But then it was 2010 when everything kind of caught up to the fact that there weren't those big, even those people had at least put their plans on hold, but we're usually a year or two down the road on stuff we're working on now. Like the 2 jobs that we're just about finished with a couple and about to start a couple, they'll last a year or 2. So 2010, we hit suddenly a stone cold wall. I went from 18 guys, had to back down to 12 guys maybe at that time. And take little jobs, you know, little shit, West Hollywood condo jobs, stuff I thought I was done with, but you were taking whatever you could get, you know, keep the guys working. So that was the toughest time for me for a bit. And on the wooden pallet, you know, we've struggled too. When we first started, we went to the big trade shows, you know, New York and here and et cetera. And we really thought wholesale was the way to go. And that about buried us for a minute because everybody ordering onesies and twosies and bitching about every little thing and complaining about the money and all that. Like you had, one or two galleries that would go deep. So, oh my God, I love this line. I'll take 10 of this, 10 of that, 10 of the other. And that's what we thought going in would happen. And when we came back and we're looking at like 40 different stores that 37 of them ordered one of this and one of that and one of the other and asking for little custom touches, shit, right off the bat, it was almost a mistake. How do we fulfill all these orders in a timely fashion when they're all custom, basically?
Right. Okay. Do you have any black friends?
Yes.
Not enough, though.
Right.
All right.
Always more.
Yeah. And we're gonna get to that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe a few. Do you often see people of color in your industry?
Yeah, I mean, we have many employees of color.
Well, yes. I mean, if we're as long as we're including the full spectrum of, you know, anybody that's not white as people of color, then yes. But I will also backstep that and be specific and say, I do not see that many people of color specifically. But it doesn't, you know, I keep wanting to specify black, but I shouldn't. I mean, even if I'm including all people of color in the high-end LA.
Because it's mostly white.
Yeah. In the high-end LA design field, it's all white people, man.
And if we're talking woodworking, like in the design field, that's different than if we're talking woodworking, it's all guys. So I'm, you know, there are people of color here, Latino for sure. And, you know, but no women of color, you know.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get into the conversation, the journey. How you all met, how you got started in this, the different aspects of your business, and how that works.
Okay. Well, we actually met online. It was, what was it? Oh, we don't need to give them. I mean, we met online, and it was my first foray into online dating, and I manifested this man. I wanted someone who could, I literally was like, I want someone who can build a house, but also be able to write a book. Like, it needed to be like mental fit, like everything. And so he clearly like ticked off.
I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, look, that was 10 years ago too. You know, at that time there were only a few options online, but we've both been single in LA for a while, and that is not, I mean, again, I'm sure New York is no different, but that is not an easy scene. And I look at it today and I think, God, shoot me in the flipping head before I want to be single today in LA. It is a very difficult thing to do. And so, you know, unfortunately, kind of the opposite. I had been through the online ringer a little bit for a year or two and just been like, first date, not a second date. First date, not a second date. You know, I mean, it's just a different thing. Growing up in the Midwest, I wasn't necessarily old school in terms of, you know, courting and all of that stuff, but I definitely was pretty much straight shooter, down to earth straight shooter, had the dogs and, you know, business and all that stuff, and just wanted somebody real. And so I was a tiny bit gun shy of even her, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It never did, thank goodness. I mean,
thank goodness.
You know, yeah. And so, you know, when we met though, I mean, she was kind of a creative force already, you know, one of those people who, made her living doing A and B, but then at the holidays would throw a big party for all of her friends to make things and sell them as holiday gifts, just supporting all of her friends' dreams to be makers. That, you know, was incredibly attractive to me right off the bat. I mean, our first date was in November, and so it was like right after Thanksgiving then that I went and saw her party that she did for this, and I just went, wow, that is so fucking cool, because again, all of her friends and were like, if it weren't for Eileen, I wouldn't even be making this stuff. You know, she was just a force in that creative world. And so, you know, she was giving cooking lessons at her house. She would have like, you know, one night a month or something. People would pay like $100 and they'd come and drink wine and learn how to make soup or learn how to make whatever. So she loved her kitchen so much that, you know, I wanted to try to make something, you know, oh, I'm a woodworker, I better make her a cutting board or something. And the cliche story is funny, though. I mean, I made a couple things, and she kind of was like, well, these are okay, but they're not that special, not what I expected. And I just was like, oh, shit.
Is that all you got?
Up that game. So, you know, then, I mean, she's good, bad, and otherwise. She can't help herself but dive in feet head first then and go, wait, what is out there? What's the best ones out there and why are they? And can't we do something better? And, you know, we did that together and really focused on, you know, to begin with, just what is the best cutting board on earth. And it seemed like everybody, all they did was talk about booze blocks. And sorry, man, I looked at what they did. Wasn't that impressed. In the end, I mean, they've done a great job as a business model doing millions with machines. But, you know, and understanding that if we had to grow to that level, maybe we would lose the handmade touch. But, you know, we looked at end grain boards and talked to every chef. And even in her experience with, you know, super expensive knives and all that stuff, only a true end grain board can be the best thing for a proper chef. And we looked at how they've been made historically. And for a year, we tested different ways to make end grain boards. And when we came out with what we thought was our kind of original design and take on it, when we brought it to a trade show and we showed off like 50 different sizes, shapes, and makes of these, literally the owner of Booze Blocks came and bought one, said, we don't even do this kind of shit anymore, man. That's beautiful. The owner of another biggest cutting board company, J.K. Adams, he came over and we were like dying to go get something to eat or whatever. We were dead on our feet. And he's like, I'll sit in your booth for a while. Don't worry, man. I can sell this stuff. It was crazy. And it really reinforced to us like, okay, wait, we got something here. Let's keep rolling with it. I mean, we look back at our original designs and kind of roll our eyes and are a little embarrassed now. But the reality was it was still something that, you know, punched the industry in its mouth a little bit on a high-end board. Now, again, when you can do $1 million in cutting boards, that's crazy. Crazy, man. I looked down my nose at it in the beginning and I was dead wrong. And now so proud of what she's done on that side of things and what the guys in the shop have done and what, you know, I've done throwing new ideas out there as a group. Her, me, the guys, we have some artists in the shop. I mean, that literally realize how cool these pieces are and take immense pride in making them and trying to make each one beautiful.
Do you have any at home you could show us now?
Yeah. Yeah, she have a couple things, I would think.
Because they're impressive.
Here's like one of our
little
board. Here's like a little guy with.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, you know, but even these little things. I mean, when you do these, most of the people that make these will know all of this stuff is handwork to give the kind of beveled edges around there.
Here's one of our.
Yeah, that's a lip board, edge grain. But, you know, again,
And you see, like, we do, what I wanted to do was, you know, make these,
cool.
make everyday items, right? Like a cutting board and a salt cellar, but I love jewelry. So we add, this one has got a proud brass inlay here.
A
flush rust here. It's a ball.
Solid walnut with 1/4 inch thick solid brass inlaid into it.
Yeah, so it's squirrely.
Yeah.
But this is a salt cellar. You know, we wanted to make a little piece of art that you're going to use every day. And really love using. You know, and we even have a paper towel holder. Same thing. You know, basic, right?
Yeah.
But we add a little pop of brass at the top and ebonize it and make it in walnut and white and black. And so it's really, you know, this is something really very pedestrian, right? Like it's a paper towel holder. But everyone's got to have one. So make it really pretty so that you love having that. And it makes like cooking kind of more fun. You get your big cutting board out and they're expensive, but you know what? We make them to last a lifetime, and we want you to use it every day and then pass it on to your kids and your grandkids. You know, that's like really was one of the things that we wanted to do, was to make modern heirlooms. You know, that this disposable society, just get that out of here. We want it to last forever. And
you want to hear the one of the funniest stories to me is that, like we talk about always about being an heirloom. We get a call or an email, I guess, out of Chicago from an estate sale company trying to value the contents of a home. And they come across our cutting board, and their words were, we knew right away this wasn't just something normal. And so they, finally could read the brand, because it's a hot brand and they had used it a lot. And this was a what we call an Eileen board, one of our biggest, most expensive end grain cutting boards. It's like 24 inches, sells for like $650.
It's like a small table.
It's like a small table, man. This thing's a beast. And they were trying to value it and went down the rabbit hole of finding us. They found us, and that's a weird story. The estate sale people turned out to be a momentary, anyway, college girlfriend of mine in Illinois.
Wow.
Who heard my voice, which is rather unmistakable, on the website when her assistant was trying to figure out who this wooden pallet company was, and was like, oh my God. So emailed and just said, hey, you should be proud of this. It's being valued as part of the estate. And that's the kind of thing we want to see it on Antiques Roadshow someday, man.
Yeah, we joke about that. We're doing some shelves, and Ryan's like, where should I put our logo? Because we have brass, like actually big brass logos that will inlay in the tables. And I'm like, well, on the back, like we want Antiques Roadshow to be able to find it really easily. This person,
or somebody,
right. It's true. Yeah, I mean, and you can see actually some of our work right behind us. We're bringing the little stuff. Like this ceiling is a masterpiece.
You do that as well. Beautiful work.
Yeah. I mean, and all the things that we do, it's something that we constantly, I think, envision in our mind, is that we live in a disposable society. It's super frustrating for me. So many things that you buy they have a time stamp on them. They're destined to die in a short period of time, and it's a throwaway and replace it. Our parents saved money for a year or more just to buy a dining room table.
Right.
I mean, there was no IKEA, Target. Yeah, they would, exactly. I mean, I can remember going to Ethan Allen in Davenport, Iowa, which was, the nicest furniture in town, and seeing the prices on solid oak tables, and my parents really going home and struggling with, can we really afford to get into a payment plan on that? But look, my mom's bugging me for a new walnut table now, but that same dining room table 40 years later is still in their kitchen, in their dining room. And, nowadays it's just so beyond frustrating to me that everything is particle board and break down and made to die soon. And man, every single thing we put out the door, we have thought in our mind, we have done every single thing we can, from traditional joinery to adding contemporary advantages to whatever we can do to make sure that piece has every opportunity to be a lifetime piece. And on the rare occasion when something breaks, all I wanted you to do is call me right away so I can come and get it and try to figure out what happened, and then fix it and get it right back to you. Yeah. We've only had it happen a couple of times, but we did some outdoor teak furniture for somebody, and they wanted 4-inch square legs on these little ottomans, and I had 2-inch Burman teak at the moment, so I laminated it up. But then that end grain lamination sitting straight down outside, I think water got in there, whatever the case was, and those things split a couple of years later. I want to know that. I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Right.
How to learn. And so, that kind of thing, we want them. Yes, it's expensive. We don't try to be museum quality expensive. We try to cover our costs, make money, be able to move on down the road and try something else. But no matter what, we never cut a corner. I guarantee you that. We never shortcut something or cut a corner. We did it so that every penny you spent was a valuable penny spent to get something the best possible.
How did you all go from or to doing smaller items to doing really large installs? That covers a lot of area.
Yeah. Well, he was doing the large installs before I even met him. So he was already on doing the floors, ceilings, staircases, and big custom furniture. And so when I came into his life, then we started the smaller pieces.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my side of the business has been doing whole home woodwork for, again, going on almost 20 years. And so we've kind of seen it all and done it all. And you know, in that side, when you're a licensed contractor to do woodwork in a home, you go in, you get a job. Again, our clients are pretty high end here. It's Los Angeles. So when you go in there and you do beautiful staircase and beautiful ceilings with really custom touches, it's not uncommon for that client to go, hey, can't you make me a table? Can't you make me a this or a that? And so I just said yes to everything, and we learned on the fly. You know, again, it was okay, how do you do a trestle table? Okay, research that and go to my old school woodworking books too and research it that way, and then just lose your ass trying to figure out how to do it right the first time and learning. You know, when Eileen's side of things started in, and it was a take this to market thing, that's a whole different animal, man. I mean, completely different animal than clients already saying, hey, you're our wood guy. Can you make us this, this, or this? So when we had to go to market, that was a whole new education for us on how to go to trade shows, how to price. When somebody says, hey, do you have a line sheet? We went, yeah. And then we went, what the fuck's a line sheet? Like, you know, we didn't know what anything was. We were totally, you know, babies in that world when we first started. So it was trial by fire, but hey, I mean, there's no doubt that if you say to Eileen, we are failing on this thing, let's figure out a way to do it better, man, she will dive into that 1,000% and come up with every idea out there and throw them in your lap and say, here's the ways to do it. Which one should we do? Yeah.
So we get, I mean, the beauty of both of us having two companies is that, well, Ryan's work is really like the big chunks of money that get us through too. And mine's like the small burn that goes on and on. And, you know, the wooden pallet is pieces that we've designed and that are, you know, people can say, I want 10 of this and one of that, or, you know, all the retail orders for whatever they want. They just look on the website and they pick it out. So it's still not that it isn't super stressful, but it's not figuring out, like for him, almost every single thing is custom. So it's figuring out how to do it sometimes because we've never even done it before, how to price it so you're actually making some money. And, you know, so many of them are not really making much money at all.
Right.
Even though it is a very high-end, expensive piece. So, you know, I guess we're lucky that we have that balance, that it's not always this like figuring it out, but there's like, this is our line, pick from it, and we've got that like pretty down pat until we, you know, start making new pieces and then figuring that out too.
Yeah, I find with custom, it's very, very difficult to price it. Because once you get into it, it always takes more time. And in the middle of it, there's some more detail that you can put on that to make it better than you originally thought. And that was never put into the original bid.
Yeah, because you never even knew.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's always some problem. Then it's like, oh God, we don't even have that wood. How are we going to find that wood, source that wood? And it's like twice as much as we thought it was even going to be in a huge, just like a huge pain and stress to find it, right? And then you're like down to the line, like making it, and guys are working overtime to get it there because it's a big install, and it's like some giant design, right? Like it's always like everything is so important that it has to be done tomorrow or next week, especially with the designers, and they kind of wait till the last second. I mean, I have that on my side too, but they wait till the last second, and they're like, well, why can't I have this next week? You know, and it's like, oh my God, do you guys even know? Like,
and they don't care.
Yeah,
they don't
Just give it to me now.
Yeah, I mean, some of them do, but you know, I mean, I work with a lot of chefs, and I have to say, like, men chefs will be like, I'm opening my restaurant next week. Can I get, and they'll make this huge line of stuff. And that's where I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this for you. I really want to help you. And I want to work with the chef and be in this restaurant. But I'm like, why didn't you tell me this like 6 months ago, you know, when you knew you needed all this thing? But I mean, I know they have a million other things to do too, but it's just, that's where you get stuck. And it's like, okay, do I have all my guys working overtime so I'm not making anything to fulfill this and be a part of this? Or do I tell them no? Or you know what? I mean, as we get busier, we don't have to say yes to everything. We're like, okay, we can do that, but you're going to pay the rush fee and it's going to be this, you know, and that's what we've learned to start doing.
Yeah. And that, I will say though, that, you know, with the things that we do, when Eileen says, oh, my side of the business brings in these big chunks of money that pays all the bills. There are times when my side of the business doesn't bring in that big chunk of money, and it ain't going to pay the bills. The bills ain't going to get paid, except that the wooden pallet got a $7,000 deposit from somebody. You know, like multiple revenue streams. You'll hear that in business all the time, man. Whatever you're doing out there, find some ancillary thing that makes sense. So, you know, you're building furniture, but you're also selling slabs. You know, one thing can pay the bills one week and another can pay it the other week, because every week the bills got to get paid.
Yeah, and sometimes things slow down. So you need something else to pick it up.
Yeah, no doubt.
What is the most challenging thing about what you all do?
When the fires around here, when it's like goes from a rainy, humid day to then we have a lot of fires in LA, and it's wood. So it's like expanding and then contracting. And so we'll get calls from our clients that are like, we woke up, we heard a huge crack in the middle of the night, and we're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What
trying
is
to remember
that?
the different things that you built for them, and like,
So, and we'll see like this huge crack in like their butcher block, you know, countertop that we made. And what is really hard to do for this client is be like, just wait like a couple weeks and you're not even going to know, you're not even going to see that anymore.
It'll close back up.
You know, so that's a huge challenge around here. Or even, you know, making something here and then shipping it to like Connecticut in the winter, or it goes even like overseas somewhere, and just to a different climate so quickly. The wood just doesn't have time to really acclimate. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the question was, what's the biggest challenge in what we do? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of answers to that, but I think that continually, like we were talking about earlier, it's the yes and no thing, like knowing when to say yes and knowing when to say no. And I don't have that down at all. I still say yes way too often. I maybe say no to the wrong things. Do not have that figured out, man.
He likes the challenge, though, of like figuring this thing out that he's never done. And I'm like, oh, God. And then it's like, sometimes there's other players in the game, other artists that I'm like, okay, now you have to get this person to do it on time. I mean, yeah. And the client's like, but I need it for, you know, my husband's birthday in a week. And you're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
So he likes that, though. He likes that stress and challenge, I think.
I mean, we have a client right now that just comically enough sent us a text with a photo, and she said, oh my God, in caps, look what Jeff just bought on Amazon. Can you help us? And this client are extremely wealthy. They have a theater with like, you know, a 200-inch screen in their house kind of thing, and these theater chairs. And he bought this thing that is bamboo, almost camber, so it'll fold, you know, little thing, like it'll fold over the arm of a chair and then have a little platform to hold your cups on the side of the theater chair. But it's literally bamboo and plastic.
And this house is like a work of art. Ryan did all the woodwork.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It's so incredible.
But she'll send us then a drawing of kind of a play on one of our trays. We do an ebonized, slim, long, beautiful tray with, you know, handmade brass handles. She wanted that exact same tray, but with a solid brass removable rudder on the bottom of it, so she could slot it between two chairs. The tray would sit then on both arms and not go anywhere. Well, you know, nobody makes anything like that, and that, you know, to groove the bottom of that tray so that then I can take basically a T piece of brass and slide it in there is challenge number one. And then challenge number two is the T piece of brass. Nobody makes a T brass, basically. You can get L metal brass, you can get square pipe, brown pipe, flat bar, this, that, or the other thing. And for those of you that are metal workers at all, you can't just weld brass. You can silver solder it, but there are guys that can weld brass. They're just artists. They're metalworking artists, you know? Mm-hmm. So suddenly we're having to chase that all down, all for a little tray for a client.
Yeah.
Hours of time.
And then the client's like getting on me like, oh, we need it. And then I'm getting on him. And then then it, you know, so that's challenging. That's challenging because it is like one little tray. But you know what? Sometimes these like figuring out then becomes a product. Yep. So then we've got this like beautiful, amazing product that nobody else has because we had to figure out how to do it, which is cool. You know, that's
I mean, we had somebody ask for a champagne butler for the countertop that would match our fumed oak and brass cutting boards. To get we have one of our guys that's a pretty good welder, but not an artistic welder, like a structural welder. So to make the stainless steel insert that would go in that bucket took a lot of time. We had to track down a heck of a metal worker to do that. And just for the bucket part that goes inside of this, it's even best price through him. If we ordered 3 at a time, it was just about $300 a piece. So that turns around and makes that butler be like a $700 butler by the time we do the woodwork and the brass work and everything else. Mm-hmm. We make one for this one client, but we had to make it a set of 3 to even get the 3 made. But you know what? All the other ones, crazy enough, at like $800 on the website, sold.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. I don't want to make any more of those.
No.
I'm about to say that a product now.
Getting that metal worker to get like answer the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
was the hardest part.
Yeah. All right, what else?
What's that?
What's in the future? What do you see next?
I think. Well, I don't know. I think a furniture line, like a couple pieces, where it's a table, where it's not all custom, but this is our design. Maybe you can customize this a little bit to make it a little more streamlined here, a little less work.
Yeah, I mean, we have a particular table that's in a gallery here in LA that has now sold. We've replicated that table maybe a dozen times or something, but it's a big table, sells retail for, I don't know, $12,000, $15,000. But it is not a slab table. You know, we make it out of Doug fir or oak. I will admit that by the time you make something 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, it almost is surprising to me how much better and faster you get at it. And you start to realize that, you know, you look at it from a maker and you kind of go, it's just not that, you know, it's not complicated. It's this, and this. But when you do that 5, 6, 7, 8 times, you definitely learn not shortcuts, but how to do each step the most expeditious way possible. And I would appreciate if we could do just that, like find a few products that we can put out into the market, find a slot that works for us, that people appreciate, that we can make money on. But again, wholesaling furniture is a disaster. You know, I mean, there's not enough money in it. It's just not. When you look at a table, if you're buying something in a gallery and it's a table or a stool or whatever, you know they're paying half or less than half for that, which means in turn that the maker is you know, only getting that much for it. And at that point, when I look at one of those same tables and I think of making it for the gallery for $4,500 or $5,000, man, that's tough to make money on. It's truly tough to make money on, whether it's my time or it's my, you know, $37.50 an hour guy. I mean, that adds up damn quick. So, you know, yes, we would love to have a furniture line out there, but it's a tough market, man. It really is if you're not selling direct. So we really prefer to hold that tight and work direct to designers. When I can give a designer a 20% off of retail discount, then I'm totally still able to survive and make money and keep building. You know, when I have to give a gallery 50% off retail or even more they ask for sometimes, it just isn't worth it in the long run, man. You're struggling for not enough. Not in LA with the prices of overhead, taxes, you know, workers' comp, rent, all that stuff.
All
And
of that.
I think aligning ourselves with good people, like good designers, really great designers that understand us, know really the quality of what we do, and having them in our pocket, knowing like working with great designers for years is something that, you know, I mean, it's not like that's on the list of things that we want to do in the future. It's what we're doing now. And I think just aligning ourselves with more of them, that makes sense for us.
All right, cool. We have, I think, about 3 minutes, and I want to talk about a situation that I've known you all. I've known Ryan we've communicated for a while, and he was in New York and was supposed to come out of the yard and wasn't able to. So we kind of talked off and on, and you all were one of the original people that I'd asked to come on for the conversation. So we signed you on. And in between that, I met someone else who I thought was interested to do a conversation. And I'm talking to this person, and Ryan hops on, and he's like, wait a minute, she's on the street from me. And it happens to be Regina at Busy Baking. And through the conversation, we learned that some difficulties that she was having getting her shop back on. And I want to thank and commend you all on hopping in to help her out, and just being selfless to making sure that we do what it takes to get her to the next level. Honestly, that was very, very nice.
Well, we love helping her. I mean, she's so talented and she's young, and, you know, we made so many mistakes when we were young, you know, and why not?
Still. Yeah,
I mean, right. We're making just as many, but, yeah, we love helping her. We love helping young creatives, and I'm so glad that you brought her in front of us so we could see. I mean, I think we just turned on Instagram, and you were having your live conversation, and we were like, what's this? Yeah. And then Ryan's like, oh, she's down the street. So it's like, why? I mean, yeah, why not help her out?
Yeah. And the bottom line too was that we were able to, like, we looked at what her needs were. And I mean, look, let me say to anybody out there listening, what her needs are is money. Go donate, help her out, give her $20. It's a slow burn, but man, every $20 makes a difference, and she deserves it. I guarantee you're putting money into the real deal, somebody who will absolutely put it to good use. So
a young Black woman, small business owner, and a local business. Yeah. You know,
the time is now on that kind of thing. And so, you know, look, it wouldn't have mattered though, truthfully, who and what or what color or anything else she was close to us, and her needs aligned. Yeah, her needs aligned with what we could help with. And we ended up being able to help with things I didn't even think about, from photography to whatever. I mean, it's great. You know, you put that out into the universe. Yeah,
so we got about 30 seconds. And again, thank you all. It was a pleasure. You did absolutely amazing work. Love your cutting boards.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for doing what you're doing, Robert, man. Keep doing it. We appreciate it.
Yep, I'm trying. Here we go.
We'll get you out here.
Yeah, we got to get you out here to Cali, man, soon.
Yes, I've been to San Fran. I hadn't been to Cali. Never spent any time.
All right,
so I got to get out there.
Come now. It's not crowded now.
Yeah. Ha! There you go.
Perfect time. Only the locals.
No traffic, man.
All right, so we're going to cut off. Thank you all.